Hello, and thank you all for coming this evening. I am Jessica Hunter, the office clerk at the Green River Chamber of Commerce, and I will be your host for this evening. Tonight's political forum will be broadcasted live on Sweetwater County School District Number 2 YouTube channel. For those joining us on the YouTube channel, welcome to tonight's forum. Kaya Leo will be moderating the evening. This forum is a platform in which is intended to allow all candidates an opportunity to voice their position and opinions on present issues. This is not an attempt to embarrass any of the candidates or to debate or badger one another, rather than an opportunity to educate the community. The agenda for this portion, or for this first portion, will run as follows. Each candidate will be given exactly 3 minutes to tell the voters who you are and why you are running. We will move from left to right, beginning with Tom Wilson. When all candidates have given their opening statements, we will begin the second portion of the forum. I will be keeping track of your timing. When I raise the yellow card, that means you have 30 seconds to finish your introduction, and when I raise the red card, you need to be finished. Now I would like to introduce Kaya Leo, your moderator for tonight's forum.
I'm gonna just take the whole thing, sorry. Hello, I'm Kaya Leo. I will be your moderator, as she just said. So I will first introduce Mr. Tom Wilson with his introduction.
Okay, thank you, Kaya. I don't know that I've ever said anything in public in less than 3 minutes, but we'll give this a shot. Well, anyway, I'm Tom Wilson. I grew up here in Green River. I'm the last of 5 kids. My sisters and brothers and all graduated from Green River High School. Met my wife of 48 years here for Monroe Swim Pool. Raised 2 children, all graduated from Green River High School. So I want to serve on the board because it's time for me to give back to the community. I've been in the education business for 43 years generally, 41 as a teacher, student taught, 2 years retired. I've been a teacher. I've taught at the middle school. I taught at the high school level. I've taught junior high school. I've taught just about every age group. I've coached 2 separate sports from 7th grade B team to high school varsity football coach for 13 years. I worked on the summer maintenance crew, so I'm very familiar with what goes on there. I have a master's degree in educational administration. I've served in a variety of administrative roles, from the dean of students to assistant principal to interim principal to the athletic director for 13 years as well. I served 6+ years on the Wyoming High School Activities Association Board of Directors. Served on various committees and directorships in the Wyoming Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association, along with the National Administrators Association. And I've served 8 months on this board. I think I'm a good decision maker. I think I try to gather as much information before making a decision. And I try to make every decision with the auspice of try to do the right thing. So have no agenda. I love being on the board. I think we have a great board. I think we have a great district, and I'm just here to serve.
Thank you, Tom. Our next candidate is Mr. Justin Sachs.
I am Justin Sachs. I'm a Wyoming native. I grew up in Mountain View and Cody. I'm a product of the school, the public school system. I'm a graduate of University of Wyoming. I'm a graduate of University of Colorado Boulder. I have degrees in chemistry and engineering. I'm a retired military officer. Spent a full career almost in the military. I was retired for 18 years for injury sustained in combat. I'm a father of 3. I have 3 kids in this school district. I'm passionate about education. I'm passionate about my kids. I want to make this a better place. I'm currently the operations manager at Church and Dwight. I'm a future husband to that beautiful lady in the back corner back there. And I love Wyoming. I want to make a difference. And I hope that I can be a good candidate and I can serve the people.
Thank you, Justin. Our next candidate is Mr. Daniel Flom.
Yeah, I'm Daniel Flum. I just recently got appointed to the school board due to the vacancy that happened. I currently work at Genesis Alkali for 12 years now as an underground diesel mechanic. I also serve on their mine rescue team as their gas man and their gas technician. We just competed in internationals and we ended up being ranked third internationally, which is a huge deal to us. It's the first time we ever gone. I'm a father of two. I have one in the school system. One will be there next year. She'll be going to junior K. And my boy's in Harrison. And my wife's also a teacher at Lincoln Elementary or Lincoln Middle School, sorry, as a science teacher. Product of this school district, went through all my grades here, went over to Western, got 2 associate degrees in 2 years over at Western, helped bring Skills USA to not only here, but also to Western. As with Gordon Gunner, we did that. Won 3rd place here for the Green River High School at Skills USA as an auto mechanic. I'm here to help with my kids, get them the schooling they need, help with the special ed kids that need all the help they can. I'm also really with the IA with my degree with industry here. And I kind of be also help getting the kids that aren't college bound into the industrial arts to help better our community. I think we focused on college a lot of times. There's some kids that can't make it. I was one of those. I couldn't make it in 4-year college. And I think we need to focus on all the kids. There's some kids that are destined to be 4-year college degrees. There's kids destined to be doctors. I applaud a kid that wants to do 12 years of school. There's no way I could. But we have the opportunity. We have the community base here. You can go anywhere in our community. You can go be a mechanic. You can go oil field. You can go anywhere you want to. Let's point these kids. Let's make our opportunities in the school system as great as we can so the kid has the ultimate choice. And let's provide an area and a safe place for them to do that. And let's let them explore their opportunity. And that's my main goal, if you want to say it, is I want to support the kids to find their true calling. And that's what I run on. That's me in a nutshell. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Daniel. Holy cow, it all came out at once. Our 4th candidate is Mrs. Ashley Castillion.
Thank you. My name is Ashley Castillion, and I am running for a 2nd term on the Board of Trustees. I am a Green River graduate and graduated from Utah State with a degree in community health education. My husband and I decided to come back to this community because we enjoyed it and we have family here. I have 3 kids. 2 of them are at the high school and 1 of them has graduated. But as they were growing up, I spent a lot of time in the classrooms developing relationships with their teachers and with the other kids. And I think that through those years, I saw so many different needs of kids and how many gaps there are in where they are in what they know and the different needs that they have from their teachers and from home. And so I appreciate all the things that our teachers do to help those kids. I believe that we have a really good district and I enjoy the atmosphere that we have in our district, and I would just like to continue to be a part of that.
Thank you, Ashley.
Okay, so the second portion of this evening is dedicated to the questions from the moderator. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer the questions. After we are done with the questions, each candidate will have 3 minutes for closing remarks. I will be keeping track of your timing once again. When I raise the yellow card, that means you have 30 seconds to finish your questions. And when I raise the red card, you need to be finished.
Oh, why didn't I press that? Like she said, each candidate has 3 minutes for their closing remarks. So I will start my first question with Mr. Tom Wilson. First question being, in the past 5 years, what has been your level of involvement in the school district?
Well, in the past 5 years, I've taught welding at the high school. I did that. I think I retired from as an administrator in 2015. And in 2016, I returned back to the classroom as a welding instructor. And so I served in that role. Outside of that, I've been at just about every board meeting for the last 41 years, it seems like. But the last year and a half, I retired. And since I retired, I got involved at the school board. We had an opening. I felt it was really important that you have an educator's voice on the board. And when we lost Robin, that voice went away, somebody that's been in the trenches. And so I decided to put my name in the hat. And so I've served on this board for the last 8 months. And I think that you can't have a board of all educators, but you do need to have an educated voice, somebody that's been in those spots. So I've served as an educator. I've served on the board. I've helped out with the welding program since I retired. And that's been my role.
Thank you. Mr. Justin Sachs, in the past 5 years, what has been your level of involvement in the school district?
So my involvement all surrounded around my children in the school. This is the first time in my life when I've really had an opportunity to give back. In the last 5 years, I've completed 2 master's degrees. I was a military officer in the National Guard, completed Leadership Wyoming. So I haven't had the time to be as involved as I'd like to be. So beyond going to parent teacher conferences and being involved in my children's education, I've had a lot on my plate. This is the first time where I feel like I can take this on and be more involved. So that's the reason why I haven't been.
Thank you. Mr. Daniel Flom, in the past 5 years, what has been your level of involvement in the school district?
Mine's been with my kids, going to different parent teacher conferences, just like Justin said. My wife started as a teacher, so I helped her through her teaching degree. But I really feel this is just my start. I've been on the school board now after 3 months now, after I got appointed to the school board. Other than that, I feel like I just got started and I want to keep going. And like I said, my kids are very little, just starting out. I don't even have one in school yet, and I have the other one in 2nd grade. I'm going to be here for the long haul. So I just want to bring more of the industrial side of it to the school district. And I feel like I have the opportunity with the years of service I have with the industry to do that. And so that's what I've been doing the last 5 years, is building my life and my family and giving the time so I can do this.
Thank you. And then Miss Ashley, in the past 5 years, what has been your level of involvement in the school district?
Okay, so in the last 5 years, my kids have been older in middle school and high school. So not as much help in the classroom, but more with whatever teams or activities they're involved in. I volunteered to help with whatever their coaches need. But I've also been on the board for the last 4 years. So I've been on several different committees. Right now I serve on the Super 8 committee. So I've learned a lot about our different policies and things that help guide our school and our district. I've been on the calendar committee, which is really not the funnest committee to be on because everybody's mad at you, but there are so many things that go into different parts of how the district works, and trying to please everyone is not easy. But I think with like that one in particular, we were able to, take input from the elementary school teachers who wanted, half days on those holidays because it's such a crazy day at school and it makes it easier for everyone, and just different things like that. So I think that I've been involved in those things, and really am willing to do whatever is asked of me.
Thank you. Now we'd like to give each candidate 3 minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. I got confused, guys. Back up. I'm trying to keep it fun, keep everybody on their toes. Okay, question number 2, we will start with Mr. Justin Sachs. As a school board member, what are some examples you would in place to help ensure our schools are prepared for students for continuing education in the workforce?
Okay, so is this a two-part question? So some examples of what we do to partner to make sure they're ready for the workforce.
Yeah, Yeah.
Paraphrase it.
yeah,
Okay, one, meeting with industry, being a leader in industry, I think it gives me a unique opportunity. I've worked at Genesis as a manager. I've been currently at Church in the White. I know what kids who don't want to go to college, what we're looking for. I think we need to raise the bar and push our students more so they can rise to the challenge. So meeting with and partnering with industry. So the kids who don't want to go to college know what they need to do to be successful in those careers. For the ones that want to join the military, want to take that avenue, I think I'm uniquely qualified from my peers that are sitting at this table. I know what it takes. I've been a military officer. I've led organizations of young soldiers, people in the military, up to 500 people in the military. And then if you want to go to college, I've done that too. So preparing them for the workforce in that transition. So I think I know what it takes to take one of these jobs that are highly coveted in our community. And I think I'm uniquely qualified. I am on the hiring boards for those jobs and I see what comes across and I know what's missing. And I think it could help provide some input that maybe might not be there right now on the board.
okay, thank you. Mr. Daniel, as a school board member, what are some examples you would in place to help ensure our schools are preparing students for continuing education or the workforce?
I said I've been in the mining industry for 12 years. Before that, I was in the power sports, ATVs, dirt bikes, at Harley. So I've had the experience anything with my hand. I have friends and family in the oil field that run companies and also our hands. I did concurrent enrollment at our high school. I think there's a few classes before me that did it, but there was the big push when I was graduating to do concurrent enrollment. I think it was 6 classes with Gordon Gunner through concurrent enrollment. So when I walked into Western, I walked in as a sophomore. I was able to complete 2 associate's degrees in 2 years. Yeah, I pushed. I was doing 20 credit hours a lot during the semesters. But the chance and opportunities to do that is there. We have that opportunity. We've had it set up not only with automotive, welding, woods. We have the cooking class that you can get degrees there, and they're trying to bring some of the college cooking classes up to us because we have the facility now. There's a lot of stuff that we have that we can broaden on. Being part of the industry, I see what we're lacking, like Justin said. I'm not the manager side of it, but I see and I help train some of the guys that are just coming in, and I see what we're lacking. And a lot of that is just the aspect of working. We need to get the kids hands-on. And take pride. That's one of the biggest things I found watching some of these kids. And we can change that here at this level. So when they go up and go into industry, go into college, if it's for a master's degree, if it's for an automotive degree, or the combination, so there's a lot of it coming together now that you can go get an automotive degree and then take a management degree. So you can do both sides. And that's something we need to explore and push on with. And that's where I think we can help with that.
Thank you. Ms. Ashley, as a school board member, what are some examples you would help in place to ensure our schools are preparing students for continuing education in the workforce?
Okay, thank you. I would say overall, we are doing a really good job. I am the mom of a recent graduate, so I can attest to the fact that that first year away is a really big adjustment for them. But some of this things that I think that aren't courses that we offer, but that like holding them accountable for when things are due, or teaching them to be responsible to turn their things in on time or to be to class on time. Those are things that sometimes they're like, oh, my teacher's so mean, they always mark me tardy, but they need to be on time to a job. So if the kids can understand that some of these skills are things that are going to affect them in their future, I think that helps. But I think we do a good job offering courses. There are the concurrent enrollment classes. Of course, there's always more that we can do and things that we can strive for. And some of those things have to do with funding. And so some things that we want to do aren't possible right now, but hopefully in the future. But I know my son took a writing course from Western that helped him to learn how to write a cover letter and to do his resume and things like that, which of course is helpful as they go into the workforce. Things like NHS. I just had a kid that had to apply for that. He had to write a resume for that and do a letter and do an interview. But all of those like life skills, I think, are really essential because there's probably a lot of kids that don't take those classes and don't necessarily know about them. And that could, and everybody needs to know how to write, their resume and to be able to apply for a job. But of course, I do think that there are other things that we can do. We do a great job with the welding program. We have the middle college program, but some of those things we can probably tweak to be more beneficial to kids. And I think as we keep looking at them year in and year out and get feedback from the kids on like if those college classes are helpful to them or not, I think that that's a great way to prepare them for their future.
Thank you. Mr. Tom, as a school board member, what are some examples you would in place to help ensure our schools are preparing students for continuing education or the workforce?
Okay, thank you. Well, I think we have to encourage our classrooms, not just in the VOTEC department, but across the board to prepare kids how to use the tools. You can have the tools, but if you don't know how to use the tools, they're useless. And so we need to provide the kids with the basic skills, and the first 5 or 6 basic skills for all employment, whether you're going to be a doctor, whether you're going to be a welder, are basically the same. You got to be able to be there and you got to be on time, and you have to be able to be given a task and be a self-starter and self-reliant and a trustworthy person. And those things come first, and then skills come after that. I think we need to provide kids opportunities. One of the things that I did in our welding program was every year we took a trip somewhere. And that trip didn't just include industry places, although it did. It got them out of here and you got to see all kinds of cool stuff. But it also ended up at universities and colleges. We just placed a kid last year, Eli Thomas at Weber State University, via that trip that we took in their welding engineering program. So kids have to get out there and see what's outside of here and help them make decisions on what they might want to do down the road. And then we teach them how to use the tools. And then we have to also, we have to continue with our welding, not just in our welding program, but across the board with our concurrent enrollment. I mean, it encourages kids to get into those classes and they get to experience something new. Eli Thomas would have never taken a welding class on his own if it wasn't for the 9 credits he could acquire. And then all of a sudden he fell in love, and it led him to something different. So I think we have a great district and we have the resources to do these things. We just need to make sure we provide the opportunities and teach kids how to use the tools. So.
Thank you. For our third question, we'll start with Mr. Daniel. What is the biggest issue facing school district number 2 today?
I think one of the biggest issues we have coming up down the pipeline really is funding. There's gonna be a lot of push to find alternative funding from industry versus federal funding, and how to fund all the programs we want to teach. Especially you have the concurrent enrollment we want to keep rolling. We want the SPED Ed program. There are a lot of funding issues around SPED Ed. So one of the biggest issues I see is funding of our school system. And how do we do that and keep everybody happy and also keep as many programs we can available to our students, so we have one of the best school systems out there. Other than that, there's other federal stuff that's going on with different things, but that's just going to happen when it happens, and we'll have to fight it when we fight it. But the biggest thing I see coming down the pipeline is the federal funding and funding of our school system.
Thank you. Ms. Ashley, what is the biggest issue facing our school district number 2 today?
So I would agree funding is a big issue. With COVID money, we're able to cover some of our shortfalls right now, but we need for our legislature to fund us. And I think part of that too is the teacher shortage. We have less students enrolling in the education system, and we're not able to, I mean, we would love to pay our teachers way more, but with the funding model and with the amount that we have available, it's not possible. And so I think that that's one of the things that we face is a potential shortage of teachers, and we want to have people who are educated and trained to be teachers, teaching our students and helping to grow these young minds. So I think those two things tie in together, and the need that we have for funding for our schools.
Thank you. Mr. Tom, what is the biggest issue faced with school district number 2 today?
I'll try to do this in 2 minutes so I don't get a yellow card again, but I sat down tonight and wrote down if I were asking these questions, what would I ask? And I would ask, what are the 3 issues? And I wrote down these 3 things. So I wrote down school finance, of course, because we just entered in a lawsuit with the state of Wyoming to recalibrate the funding model. So funding is a big deal, and those ESSER funds have to be spent by the end of 2024. And at that point, if enrollment doesn't go up, we're going to be in a budget shortfall. So that's a big deal. And I wrote down quality teacher recruitment and retention. I mean, as Ashley said, we're going to be in a bind. We have 6% of our teaching staff right now that are non-certified teachers. 6%. That's a big, they're on PIC permits or temporary permits. But my biggest issue as a board member is school safety. I mean, I think as a parent, I sent my children to school and I expected to get them home this afternoon safely, hoping they learned something along the way. But the most important thing to me was that they came home safely. And so school safety is an issue. It's always on the forefront. I think we are out in the forefront in terms of school safety. I think Jason Foose and Alan Demaray and Craig have worked with our local agencies trying to iron out all of the scenarios and ways we can train our teachers and staff and our students. But it's sad that we even have to talk about it. There's my yellow card again. We even have to talk about it, but school safety is always on the forefront. So I think those 3 things: school safety, finance, and recruitment and retention of teachers, good teachers.
Thank you. Mr. Justin, what is the biggest issue facing the school district number 2 today?
The reliance on the extraction industry to fund our schools. So with the decrease of the mining industry, specifically coal, and then oil and gas, and the revenues that are generated from that, we need to have a permanent funding model. I went back and forth and I did a lot of research, and I do, in the beginning, I didn't support the lawsuit against the legislature, but I understand why it's there now. And I think I do support it. So we need to force our legislators to come up with a permanent funding model that doesn't rely on oil, natural gas, and coal to fund our schools. That current model is broken, and we need to find a way to fund our schools that we can rely on, where we can predict what we're going to get year to year. That's issue 1. Recruiting and retention of great teachers. I wish I wasn't last, because all the good points were already taken. But having great teachers here, they are taking on things that are no longer teaching, and they are beaten down, and we need to get them back to teaching and away from a lot of the other things that they no longer need to be doing, in my opinion. We're getting through COVID, and the teachers that stayed through that was a difficult time, and I commend them for that. School safety, the last issue, I probably have differing opinion than most. From a guy who's been in war and been in multiple gunfights, I do not want guns in our schools with low trained individuals. My kid is just as dead if somebody that's a teacher shoots my kid as if somebody comes into school. So differing opinions on a lot of people on school safety. I know what it's like. I've been there, I've done it. And I'm concerned that we want to arm teachers in a lot of school districts. I disagree with it.
Thank you. Our fourth question, we will start with Miss Ashley. And as we just all talked about, as we're all aware, revenues are challenged due to the current economic situation. How would you promote school funding?
I think that really we just need to talk to our legislature representatives. I know that we have a forum for them. We invite them, and I think it's usually the ones that don't come are the ones that we really need to keep reaching out to and explain how the budget works. I know when I first got this position, I had no idea how complicated and confusing a budget is. And I know that a lot of people think, oh, the school districts have so much money, but so much of it is allocated certain places, and it costs a lot to run a school and to pay all of our teachers and our staff and everyone. And I just think from experience in speaking to a few of our legislators that we just need to keep talking to them. I mean, they're the ones ultimately making the decision on how much funding we're going to receive. But I think the more voices that they hear from and the more they feel that pressing need to address the situation, I think that's probably our best bet.
Thank you. Mr. Tom, as we are all aware, revenues are challenged due to the current economic situation. How would you promote funding for schools?
Well, I echo what Ashley had to say. I think our budget is incredibly complicated, and how Christine's head does not blow up with all those numbers, I have absolutely no idea. But it is very complicated. I think if I were to say how we would promote this, I think we could, education is everything. I think we need to put that out there for people to come in and receive some training on how the budget actually works, how what it means when a student graduates in December. What does that mean to the budget? It costs money. You know, it's just it is just so complicated. I think we need to educate our teachers, our staff, and the community on how the funding works. There's funding sources that are dedicated to certain things. That's why you can have this and you can't use that money for that. And I think education is the key. We have a total budget of about $61 million, and 39 million of that roughly comes from the funding model. The funding model was recalibrated the first time in 2005, and I think they tweaked it again in 2012, and nothing's happened since. So imagine trying to run your entire household budget on what you earned 10 years ago. And then in addition to that, the state mandates that you add programs, but no money. So simple math. You're going to cut programs or cut programs, period. So in 2024, we're going to be facing the challenge. So educating the public and our staff on how this all works is a key.
Thank you, Mr. Justin. As we are all aware, revenues are challenged due to the current economic situation. How would you promote funding for schools?
I would want to meet with the legislators, several I'm friends with. I got to become friends with them through Leadership Wyoming. I know a lot of them on a first name basis. We need to really consider who we vote for when people vote for, say, no new taxes, but yeah, then there's a funding shortfall in our education system. So if we're voting for people that say new taxes, but we're not, but then we want to fund education, how do we do it? We're going to have to make hard decisions. I think where I'm uniquely qualified in business, we have a lot of times have to do more with less. We have to figure out how to spend our money more wisely. I've been in the public sector, in the military, and you spend what you have, not what you need to spend. And so I've seen both sides of it. I think one, we need a petition for legislatures for more money and proper funding. And then two, becoming better at spending the money that we have in the school district.
Thank you. Mr. Daniel, as we are all aware, revenues are challenged due to the current economic situation. How would you promote funding for schools?
To reiterate, like what Ashley and Tom both said, is when you get that first board book and you look at that budget the first time, you have no idea what your head's doing, because it's very complicated. You have the stuff that goes to certain areas. You have the main fund, you have this fund, you got this fund. it's very complicated, and it took me a lot to figure it out. I ended up actually having called Christine here at the Central to help me understand it, because I could not wrap my head around it. I didn't get that we could go spend this money here, but we're short over here. But it's how everything's allocated from different agencies, and it's very complicated. I do think we need to more streamline our process with our finances. But the biggest thing is we do need to go after a legislator to update that model. A lot has changed in a lot of years, especially with oil and gas industry and the up and downs. Right now, you look at our mining industry, it's pretty stable besides the coal side of it. But we can't always rely on that. So we need to figure out a better funding model. We need to ask legislator to help us with that and get everything more streamlined and figure out the process that best fits our needs to keep as many programs we can open for our students and our faculty and help retain our teachers. Maybe get some of our aides more certified so they become teachers. But the biggest thing is we got to go after the legislator to figure out what's going on and help our school system out.
Thank you. For our last question, we'll start with Mr. Tom. How much oversight should the school board have on teacher performance?
Well, actually, none. Our school board serves three roles. We supervise the superintendent of schools. We oversee the budget and we set policy. So that's our basic three roles. So how the board oversees what's going on in the classroom, that's not our role. That's his role. Then he needs to communicate that to us. If test scores are down, we need to ask the questions why. And if they're up, we need to ask what we're doing right and how can we duplicate that in other areas. So in terms of the school board overseeing teachers in the classroom, that's not our role. Our role is to oversee him, and his role is to oversee the district. So that's my stance.
Thank you. Mr. Justin, how much oversight should the school board have on teacher performance?
That's not the job of the school board. That's the job of the administrators. We shouldn't be reaching that far down in organizations and managing the teachers. I think we should make recommendations. I think an outside perspective from administration, maybe on new ways of looking at how to calibrate teachers against each other. But overall, I mean, that's not the job of the school board. I'm not an administrator in the school board, and I don't intend to try to manage that deeply down into the organization.
Thank you. Mr. Daniel, how much oversight should the school board have on each teacher or on the teacher performance?
I think you're gonna have four of the exact same answers, that it's not our job. It's Craig's job to do that. We supervise Craig. We make policies and we take care of the budget. Now, seeing like what Jess said, that maybe we have some new ideas of how to do stuff, that's a way to look at it, and that's the way we can help the system. But our job is not to go after the teachers. Our job is not to go after the administration. There's a chain of command that needs to be followed, and that's where it needs to stand. Our job is to monitor Craig, and that is it. And that's my stance on it.
Thank you. Ms. Ashley, how much oversight should the school board have on teacher performance?
So I agree with everyone else. It's not our job. And luckily, most everything I ever hear about teachers is good stuff and the great things that are going on in different people's classrooms. So.
Wonderful. Well, that was easy. Now we are done with our questions. We'd like each candidate to have 3 minutes for closing remarks. I will start with Mr. Justin.
I don't think I got 3 minutes of things to say. Just more about myself. I'm a passionate leader. I've led on multiple levels. I will fight like nobody else will fight for this school district. I'm a fighter. I believe in doing what's right. I have no agenda while I'm here. If I lose, congratulations. I'll have more time to spend with my kids. I think I have a lot to offer, a unique perspective. I have a pretty diverse experience, different than most people. I I would like to serve. If I'm not given the opportunity and these three here get it, congratulations.
Thank you. Any closing remarks, Mr. Daniel?
Like just said, I really hope I can move on. If any of these three guys get it, great. They're not going to perform bad. There would be very good candidates. Like I said, I may have a slight agenda of IA just because that's where I grew up. That's where I lived. But I'm still here as a parent of the school system. I want to see this school system survive. I want to see us strive. I was a sped ed kid. I had a hard time in school. And to see how this program has worked, to see how it has grown, that we have one of the best sped programs in the world, in my opinion. That's my opinion. But our school system is very great. And I want to keep it that way. I want to have a place where my kids want to raise their kids. I grew up here coming in kindergarten, went through the school system, went to Western, stayed local. I want to keep people wanting to do that. I want people to bring their kids back to here to teach the kids because we have the best school system available for them. And keep pushing the kids to keep the concurrent enrollment. Let's plan your future before we even get out of high school. Let's have the opportunities to do that. Let's keep everything the best we can for our community. And that's where I want to be. And that's where I want to keep pushing is keep everything here, keep our community how we are. And let's make the best school system we can.
Thank you. Any closing remarks, Ms. Ashley?
Sure. I would like to serve another 4 years. I think those first couple of years are a huge learning curve. There's so many different committees, so much to learn about how the school district works. And through that, we also went through COVID. So it was a lot of adjustments. And I didn't really know that I ever served in like a normal sort of year, but I would like the opportunity to keep serving. And really, I enjoy being on the school board because I love the kids of our community and I know that they're our future. And I think we have a wonderful school district. We do a lot of great things. We have a lot of great programs. We have wonderful staff who work well together. And I would just like to continue to be a part of that.
Thank you. And finally, Mr. Tom, any closing remarks?
Well, I guess the whole idea here at the end of the day is that we produce productive, independent graduates that have the tools and know how to use the tools to be happy and productive citizens at whatever they choose to do. And our job along the way is to provide our teachers and staff the tools to do their job. So I think we have a great district. We have a high functioning superintendent. We have a great staff. We're well funded. We have a great business manager. I mean, we have great principals. We have great students. And I just want to see us continue the work forward because we have challenges just like any other entity, any business, anywhere else. We have challenges just like anyone else. But I think you need in these roles good decision makers that can face those challenges, that are not afraid to make decisions, that use their tools and gather as much information as they possibly can, and therefore best serving the district and ultimately best serving the students, because that's who we're here to serve.
Thank you.
We would like to say thank you to all the candidates and moderator for being here tonight. We really appreciate your participation and good luck to all of you.
Thank you.